Hello and welcome back, anime lovers. Today we will be going through the 1998 anime titled Outlaw Star. I know you must be thinking, 1998. Don't worry, sit tight and grab some snacks because it is going to be fun. Alright, let's get into it. Gene Starwind and James Jim Hawking are freelancers that take up just about any job. A woman named Rachel hires Gene and Jim to guard and accompany her while she services farm equipment. When they are besieged by K-pirates, they discover that Rachel is actually Hot Ice Hilda, an outlaw looking for riches. Once the chasing pirates are subdued, Hilda double-crosses them, shooting Gene, and orders Jim to get a huge container and retrieve a case. However, Gene appears behind Hilda unfazed and draws his gun on her. When the container is opened, a naked woman is seen within. Melfina, the woman in the container, awakens from suspended animation. Gene, Jim, Hilda, and Melfina escape from the K-pirates on a dropship and travel into space. They then transport Hilda's starship, Horus, to Blue Heaven, a hangout for outlaws. Swanzo, a Corbinite, is conscripted to repair and restock Horus. While Jim is out shopping with Melfina, Gene and Hilda go to a pub and get into a fight with McCoy and his lackeys. As a result, they are attacked in their bedroom that night. Gene and Hilda overcome McCoy, and the heroes flee into space ahead of his army. In a flashback, we see that as a child, Gene and his father were attacked by pirates, and his father sacrificed his life so Gene can escape, leaving Gene traumatized. They engage in a game of chicken with a Tarl ship captained by Aisha Clan, who, after losing, destroys their pursuers in a fit of wrath. After allowing Horus to escape, Aisha is demoted and left behind on Blue Heaven. When the Horus arrives at the agreed-upon rendezvous spot, Hilda discovers that the K-pirates have murdered all of her pals. The crew flees the pirates and sets sail for Farfallis. The Horus lands at Farfallis and docks on an asteroid carrying the sophisticated spacecraft XGP-15A2. Hilda activates Gilliam-2, the XGP-15A computer, which registers the 4 as its crew. While the K-pirates come and attempt to take possession of the XGP-15A2, Melfina demonstrates her ability to link her thoughts with the ship. As Hilda and the pirates are battling, they are both attacked by the McDougal brothers, and are all sent careening into the nearby sun. Upon seeing their ship, Gene recalls that it was the same ship responsible for the attack on him and his father 6 years ago. The McDougals, having believed their mission was complete, which was to destroy the XGP, leave the area. Gene, Jim, and Melfina subsequently get out of the asteroid to escape the star's gravitational well, while Hilda sacrifices herself to shield them from the K-pirates. In Hilda's honor, Gene names the spacecraft the Outlaw Star. The Outlaw Star's crew returns to Blue Heaven, and Swanzo offers to paint and outfit the spacecraft with a registration ID in order to repay a debt owed to Hilda. Aisha, now destitute and homeless, arrives and demands the Galactic Leyline coordinates, which Gene is unable to supply. After Aisha continues to resist them, the team takes her out to dinner out of sympathy, but Gene ends up shocking her and leaving her with the bill. Gene and Jim run across an old buddy, wealthy businessman Fred Luo, who has become the target of a female assassin known as Twilight Suzuka. In exchange for ammunition, Gene swears to guard Fred and ends up defeating Suzuka in a battle. Suzuka promises to leave Fred alone as long as Gene is still alive, but threatens to murder him instead. Gilliam-2 performs simulations to teach Gene how to fly the Outlaw Star, but Gene crashes every time. Jim retrieves his car and starts to work as a mechanic, while Melfina learns to cook and Gene works on the ship. A K-pirate assaults Melfina, but Suzuka steps in and kills him. Meanwhile, Gene has been poisoned as a result of his confrontation with another K-pirate. The crew then reunites on the Outlaw Star, and Suzuka offers to assist because she dislikes the K-pirates. Because of his earlier encounter with the K-pirate, who offers an antidote in return for their ship, Gene goes asleep. Melfina purges the poison by putting Gene inside the spaceship's navigation booth, and Gene wakes up and refuses the offer. Gene and Suzuka destroy the K-pirate and his robots, only to be challenged by 3 additional K-pirate grappler ships. Gene does not take Jim seriously when it comes to ship maintenance and their freelancing company. Gene and Jim accept a contract to identify and murder a man named Zamba in exchange for 10,000 won, but instead find a cyborg clone of this man and are only paid 2,000 won. They vow to track down the true Zamba and collect the entire bounty, only to discover that the true Zamba has already been slain by Suzuka. The Outlaw Star arrives in Hafong, and the crew enters the 13th annual Hafong space race, with some financial assistance from Fred's company, in order to promote Gene and Jim's business and for Gene to learn more about the El Dorado, the ship piloted by Ronald Ron McDougal and Henry Harry McDougal. Gene bravely dives into the first checkpoint to evade the space wave. Aisha abandons her spacecraft and is hauled aboard, and after eventually convincing her that he knows nothing about the Galactic Leyline, she decides to remain on the Outlaw Star. The crew finishes 4th overall, but first in the privateer class, and they make a profit on their arrangement with Fred. After the race, Gene calls Harry, who dares him to an asteroid field combat between the Outlaw Star and the El Dorado. Later, the El Dorado infiltrates the Outlaw Star, and Harry attempts to hack into Gilliam-2 and develops feelings for Melfina. However, it is eventually discovered that Ron is piloting another spacecraft and bringing Harry back with him. Gene and Jim establish a business on Hafong, and the crew members take on various assignments across the city, culminating in a showdown with a mind-controlling cactus and its huge insect servant. The Outlaw Star is on a transport mission when an advertising spacecraft hooks onto them and takes control of their computer. The perpetrator is revealed to be a terrorist named Crackerjack, who threatens to blow off a bomb he has planted on the ship if Hafong is not granted independence. While Gene searches for a means to deactivate the ship's explosives, Aisha and Suzuka strive to find Crackerjack and save the others on Hafong. It is discovered that the whole terrorist plot was just a decoy that Crackerjack was using to clear out the surface facilities so he and his gang could commit their heist. Gene was able to deactivate the bomb and subdue Crackerjack. Lord Hazenko collects 6 of the Anton 7, a group of powerful assassins whom he controls, and informs them that they must kill Gene Starwind. Shimi, the 7th member, later shows up at Starwind and Hawking businesses and challenges Gene to a battle. Gene and Leyline meet at a pub and share a nice drink. After murdering one of Leyline's lackeys the next day, Gene finds that he is indeed Shimi. The other members of the crew attempt to intervene, but to no avail. Gene suddenly wins a one-shot battle, and Shimi appears to die. However, we later see him clawing his way out of the shallow grave unharmed, now free of his duties as an Anton 7 assassin. An old man hires Gene, Jim, and Melfina to rescue a shipment of Dragonite ore from a spacecraft that crashed on the water planet Hafong 7, resulting in a struggle with the beast defending the ship and its treasure. After loading the Dragonite ore into the spacecraft, the old man sacrifices himself to the beast in order for the crew to safely flee the planet. Despite the large quantity of ore they retrieved, they were only able to break even after all the fees and maintenance cost. An unnamed customer, subsequently identified as Ron McDougal, calls the Outlaw Star crew and requests that Gene meet him at a restaurant to discuss the Galactic Leyline and its connections to the Outlaw Star and Melfina. Outside the restaurant, Gene, Jim, Aisha, and Suzuka are confronted by Ron and his dog-like weaponry. Meanwhile, Harry tries unsuccessfully to woo Melfina by relating to her that he too is a construct, a created life form as he was grown in a test tube. Melfina is able to resist and escape him with the help of Jillian. In exchange for a large loan from Fred, the Outlaw Star crew joins the Universal Strongman Tournament to prevent Fred's fiancée, Reiko Ando, from becoming the strongest woman in the universe and therefore preventing the two from marrying. Gene, compelled to disguise himself as a woman, joins the competition as Jenny, quickly wins despite his injuries. Aisha, who was barred from competing because of her ethnicity, joins the competition as Firecat, a masked wrestler. She subsequently confronts and defeats a K-pirate named Lady Yaraga, who is revealed to be from the same tribe as her. Following that, once Fred agrees to pay the money for taking the job, the team departs Hafong in quest of the Galactic Leyline. The Outlaw Star and its crew are apprehended by private security forces, and Gene encounters their boss, a Saurian named Duas, who is joined by Valeria, his colleague. The security troops try to assist a wounded civilian spacecraft, but it is revealed to be a Trojan horse. The Outlaw Star and its crew save the security troops and receive Dragonite as a reward. The Outlaw Star is attacked by an unknown spacecraft and forced to escape, docking at a nearby outpost for repairs. Jim meets a pair of cats in a park and pursues them to their owner, a girl named Hanmio, with whom he goes on a date. Jim is unaware that the girl is the pilot of the spacecraft that attacked them, and the cats are her co-pilots. In some ruins on an uninhabited planet, the team looks for knowledge concerning the Galactic Leyline. Gene rejects Harry's latest attempt to seduce and kidnap Melfina. Meanwhile, Ron launches an attack on the others, only to be cut off by an earthquake. Later, in an outpost, Professor Nguyen Khan uses code phrases to put Melfina to sleep and instructs Gene to go to a jail for information about the Galactic Leyline. As a prisoner, Gene encounters Seo Wong, who knows the coordinates for the Galactic Leyline. They flee, and the guy hands Gene a gadget containing the coordinates. Professor Khan awakens Melfina, and Gene then throws Khan overboard. The gang travels to Tenray, a vacation world, so Gene may seek for castor shells in preparation for their journey to the Galactic Leyline. Gene talks with two priests, Ark and Haddle, as the team relaxes in the hot springs. They swap the castor shells for filthy film of a third female priest named Urt. A K-pirate called Tabijara appears in a side narrative and continuously fails to murder Gene. The Outlaw Star, the McDougal brothers with Khan, and Hazenko and his crew all fight to make their way inside the Galactic Leyline, where they glimpse a black and gold-clothed cylindrical figure. Melfina is whisked away as a disembodied voice inquires about the cause for their return as well as the item they most desire. Suzuka, Gene, and Aisha face and beat Hidariga, Hamushi, and Yukai, in that order. Hazenko, who tells Melfina to unlock the gate, brutally wounds Harry when he discovers Melfina at the entrance. When Khan enters the gate, Gene approaches and overpowers Ron nearby, triggering memories of his boyhood when his parents were still living. Gene subsequently instructs Jim to return Aisha and Suzuka to the ship. Before passing away, Harry assists Gene and Khan by unlocking the gateway. Hazenko's Tau magic and Gene's castor shell cancel each other out, killing both of them. They are taken, together with Melfina and Khan, into the center of the Leyline, where they are rejuvenated and their desires are accomplished. Khan gains all of the universe's wisdom and merges with the Leyline, while Hazenko gains ultimate strength. Gene and Melfina simply want to be together, therefore Melfina's body is released from the Leyline. Gene and Melfina team up with Aisha, Jim, Suzuka, and the Outlaw Star to fight Hazenko inside the spiral of the Galactic Leyline, and the Galactic Leyline transfers to a new position. Aisha and Suzuka had left in the aftermath, but rejoin with the crew of the Outlaw Star after the ship breaks down in deep space. The party travels to another part of the galaxy in search of fresh experiences.